time tonight as part of the Trump administration's immigration policy. They've been ramping up so-called third country deportations, sending migrants out of America to countries other than their own.
They say it's often because a U.S. court has already ruled it's too dangerous for them to be sent to their home countries. In June, ICE sent their first deportation flight to the Central African Republic, or CAR for short.
It's considered one of the most dangerous countries on earth. CNN headed there to investigate.
I was so scared. I was crying and I said, I'm not going out.
Asena thought she'd find safety in the US. She says she fled Turkey after facing death threats. But then she became one of thousands that the Trump administration has deported.
First, my hands and with my belly like this and my foot.
So they handcuffed you and shackled you?
Yes.
And you still didn't know where you were going?
I don't know where I'm going to. I said, where we are going, tell me. And he said, I don't know, maybe Central Africa. And I was in shock.
Have you ever heard of Central African Republic before?
No.
So we are here in Bangui in the Central African Republic trying to find out what happened with this ICE deportation flight that took place this summer going from the US to here. We know that this flight happened in the shadows of secrecy. As far as we know, no one apart from UN agencies has managed to meet with these migrants. So we're here trying to track them down. At 8:58 p.m. on June 11th, 18 migrants from all over the world were brought to Alexandria Airport, Louisiana. They say they were handcuffed and shackled. Several claim they were severely beaten. Two of the migrants say they were forced into a full-body restraint, like the one seen here in a demo video. A US official called the allegation a flat-out lie and denied anyone was beaten. The maker of one such restraint said it's a last resort tool intended to promote safety and prevent escalation. Nearly 20 hours later, after a refueling stop, the plane touched down in Bangui, Central African Republic. Maybe I can just start with, where are you from originally?
I'm from Georgia.
You're from Georgia?
Yes.
Egypt.
Egypt.
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Iraq.
Iraq.
Jordan.
Jordan. So all different countries. How are you all doing here?
Doing here like a hell.
Like hell?
Yeah. No internet, no electric, too much of mosquito. Everybody have malaria.
خطفونا زي خطيفة، زمونا على مركز الأمني، طلب منا مصاري، ما حدا طلع إلا اليوم، اليوم بس.
The US State Department warns people do not travel here for risk of kidnapping and terrorism, and advises those who must to leave behind a DNA sample so they can be identified by their family. A lot of the migrants have told us that they are terrified to be here, and you can understand why. I mean, this is a country where there's been an ongoing civil war that's still taking place, but even here in Bangui, there's very high rates of violence, very high rates of criminality, and very high rates of, these armed groups operating here. I asked the police about the migrants' claims that they are part of the problem. Some of the migrants here that I've spoken to say that when they go outside, the police stop them and ask them for cash and threaten them.
Non, c'est pas vrai. Parce que ces policiers-là effectuent juste des contrôles de sécurité. Mais demander de l'argent, je ne pense pas.
Very little is known about what terms the CAR government agreed to with the US. But what we do know is that on May 18th, just 1 month before the first deportation flight, State Department diplomats traveled here to meet with the president. For the past decade, the US has given just a few $1 million per year to the UN Migration Agency IOM's operations in CAR. But this year, that figure shot up to $85 million. An additional $50 million was committed to the CAR Humanitarian Fund. We asked the IOM about the money they're receiving. They did not respond to our specific questions, but told us that IOM has a long-standing presence in the CAR and they're receiving funding from a range of donors. But this is at a time when the Trump administration has been slashing billions of dollars in foreign assistance. We have been trying to get hold of any US officials to talk about what's been happening and why and how they've sent these migrants here, because they are ultimately the ones responsible. I mean, the State Department have emailed back saying, as a policy, we do not discuss diplomatic negotiations or funding mechanisms, and the US Embassy staff have not been replying to us, but we're going to try and knock on the door just to see if they answer. So we just have some questions about the migrants that were brought here.
All questions have to go through them. I'm not authorized to answer any questions.
Right. And is there anyone else we can contact at the US Embassy?
The Bangui BD at state.gov, the email I gave you. That's when you can
Who are just going to ignore us and pretend that email never came. All right. Thank you. Eventually, the State Department did get back to us. They did not reply to any of our detailed questions, but said the US will use foreign assistance to support countries that help us achieve our immigration priorities. It's a tacit admission that the money is tied to the deportations.
And CNN reports that most of those they spoke to have protection orders from American judges.
The orders stop the government from sending them to their home countries where they'll likely face persecution, torture, or even death.